Hello everyone. So we're here talking about palm oil processing, and really, I just want you to see the websites that I'm on. I'm on the uh, Food and Agriculture Organization website. I think that's what FAO stands for. So I'm basically talking through what is here. You can go to the link yourself and read more. So we are talking about palm oil processing, and I'm going to skip so many things because I think I spoke about them. I shared them before up to this picture. So I'm going straight to the harvesting and hand, harvesting technique and handling effects. I think that's the word. Also, we have different ways of harvesting and handling. So in the early stages of fruit formation, the oil content of the fruit is very low. As the fruit approaches maturity, the formation of oil rapidly increases rapidly to about 50% of the mesocarp weight. I don't think you want to listen to me read the whole thing. I'll just make it stay for a while so you can read, and then move on to the next thing, which is bunch reception. So I'll give you some 5 more seconds to finish reading, then I'm moving on to bunch reception. So we're going on to bunch reception. Yeah, I didn't wait for 5 seconds, sorry. So really, the fresh fruit arrives from the field as bunches or loose fruit. So that's one place you can look at. How can you help in transporting the bunch from the field or from the farm to where it's going to be processed? Or if you're smart enough, you cite your okay, sorry, let me not use the word smart enough. If you are lucky enough, you actually cite your processing facility close to where the bunch is being prepared and harvested. Now, that's an area for us to really look at. If unfortunately you can't get your proper siting or site your processing facility close to the farm, then there's an opportunity for people to actually move the bunch from the farm to where it's going to be processed. So you can look into that if you are considering palm oil, investing in palm oil. That's one thing to look at. So that's one way. Then you look at threshing and removal of the fruit from the bunches. Apparently, it's more of manual threshing these days. You can have mechanized system, but it's a trade-off. Do you want to pay so much and get perhaps a higher yield? Or if you're just starting, maybe you're just starting, you're not yet ready, you can start with manual threshing, and then as you begin to earn money, you move on. And from what we are reading here, you can actually employ children and even the elderly people, and they will earn income from that, as opposed to the young people that their eyes are chicken. Okay, so yeah, we're saying that you could employ the elderly and even children in the village to help you, so that you're earning income, you're giving back to your society as well. Uh, so then there's the issue of sterilization, which we are moving on to next. You can read through everything. I'm going to go fast because I have 15 minutes. So when we go talk about sterilization of the bunches, we are really talking about cooking to such a high temperature that well, the purpose of the cooking is heat treatment to destroy the oil splitting enzymes and to arrest hydrolysis and auto-oxidation. Then for large-scale installations where the bunches are cooked whole, the wet heat weakens the fruit stem and makes it easy to remove the fruit from bunches or on shaking or tumbling in the threshing machine. So whether you're using equipment or you're doing it manually, cooking helps anyway. Then heat helps to solidify the proteins in which the oil-bearing cells are microscopically dispersed. The protein solidification coagulation allows the oil-bearing cells to come together and flow more easily on application of pressure. Then the fruit weakens the pulp. The cooking actually weakens the pulp structure, softening it and making it easier to detach the fibrous material and its content during the digestion process. The high heat is enough to partially disrupt the oil-containing cells in the mesocarp and it permits the oils to be released more readily. And then you have the moisture introduced by steam acts chemically to break down the gums and resins. The gums and resins cause the oil to foam during frying. So some of the gums and resins are actually soluble in water, and others can be made soluble when broken down by wet steam. The process is called hydrolysis, so that it can be removed during clarification, the oil clarification. Starches present in the fruit are hydrolyzed and removed in this way. When high pressure steam is used for sterilization, the heat causes the moisture in the nut to expand. When the pressure is reduced, the contraction of the nut leads to detachment of the kernel from the shell wall, thus loosening the kernels within their shell. The detachment of the kernel from the shell wall greatly facilitates later nut cracking operations. And then you also have to ensure that you evacuate air from the sterilizer, because air acts as a barrier to heat transfer, and oil oxidation increases considerably at high temperature. Hence, oxidation risks are high during sterilization. That's why you have to get the air out. So it says over-sterilization can also lead to poor bleachability of the resultant oil. Sterilization is also the chief factor responsible for the discoloration of palm kernels, leading to poor bleachability of the extracted oil and reduction in the protein value of the pressed cake. So you see, this process is quite important, this issue of sterilization, so you have to do it right. Well, this is a fruit sterilizer. This is in Benin. And I don't know where this one is, but this is another one. So we are moving on to digestion of the fruit. Digestion is the process of releasing the palm oil in the fruit through the rupture or breaking down of the oil-bearing cells. The digester commonly used consists of a steam-heated cylindrical vessel with a central rotating shaft carrying a number of beater steering arms. Though the action of the rotating beater through the action of the rotating beater arms, the fruit is pounded. Basically you're trying to release the palm oil from the fruit by trying to break down the oil-bearing cells. That's what you're doing in digestion, essentially. So from what we're reading, contamination from iron is greatest during digestion when the highest rate of metal wear is encountered in the milling process. Iron contamination increases the risk of oil oxidation and the onset of oil rancidity. So you need to be careful in this process. Make sure that whatever you're doing, this is something to look at. Don't let the iron contaminate your oil. So we are going on to pressing. That means you're extracting the palm oil. So you've actually beat it, pounded it into a paste. So now it's now time for you to press and extract the oil from the digested material. One way you do that is to use mechanical presses, and they call that the dry method. The other way is to use the wet method, which involves the use of hot water to leach out the oil. Oil and water don't mix. So when you put in the hot water, the oil will float up and you can take it out. So in the dry method, the objective of the extraction stage is to squeeze out the oil out of a mixture of oil, moisture, fiber, and nuts by using mechanical pressure on the digested mash. There are a large number of different presses, so that will cost money, obviously, because you have to have a machine which is a press. But the other way is to look at hot water, the wet method, which means you're going to have to deal with water. So you have to make a choice on which one works for you. So for presses, you have batch presses, and they go on to describe how the batch presses work. Some hydraulic, you have the plunger and all of that. And the size, they've given you different sizes. So I'm keeping this intentionally so you can read through. Then going on to the continuous system, I'm talking of the just read the continuous system. I don't want to read it for you so you can read. Then we are going on to clarification and drying of the oil. The main point of clarification is to separate the oil from its entrained impurities. So, after you've pressed out, it's not going to be pure. So you still need to, clarification is a process of taking out the impurities. So here they're using hot water, they're adding hot water anyway to the press output. So which tells me that perhaps it's better to just go ahead and use the hot water method anyway. Because if you're still going to have to add hot water to what is coming out of the press, maybe we should actually be looking at water anyway, but that's something for you to think about. So the dilution provides a barrier causing the heavy solids to fall to the bottom of the container, while the lighter oil droplets flow through the watery mixture to the top when heat is applied to break the emulsion. So when you have oil in water, it is called an emulsion. If you have water in oil, it's also an emulsion. So heat is a legitimate way of breaking emulsions. There are other ways, but obviously since this is food, you can't use chemicals to try to break the emulsion. It's better to use heat. So they've told us that we add the water in the ratio of 3 parts of water, I guess, to 1 part of the mixture. Now please confirm, because it may very well be 3 parts of the mixture to 1 part of water. So if you're working, please make sure you clarify that. The diluted mixture is passed through a screen to remove coarse fiber. The screened mixture is boiled for 1 or 2 hours, and then allowed to settle by gravity in large tanks so that the palm oil, being lighter than water, will separate and rise to the top. So we are making use of the difference in densities of the oil and the water. So the expectation is that the oil will float and the water will be below, and then so it's then easy for you. The word, when they say decant, what they're really saying is that you are pouring it carefully. When you have like your garri and water, when your garri has settled, the water on top, you can easily pour it clearly and it will be clear until you get to that layer between the two of them. So that's what they're saying about decanting. This clarified oil still contains traces of water and dirt, because really it's not, when you're pouring garri, there will still be the water on top of garri. There will be some particles of garri a bit there. So that's what they're saying here. Even though it's clear, it's not totally clear. So it said to prevent increasing, I don't know what FFA means, you probably need to understand what that means. Through autocatalytic hydrolysis of the oil, the moisture content of the oil must be reduced to 0.15 to 0.25%. Reheating the decanted oil in a cooking pot and carefully skimming off the dried oil from any engrained dirt removes any residual moisture. Continuous clarification consists of 3 compartments to treat the crude mixture: dry decanted oil, and hold finished oil in the outer shell as a heat exchanger. I think I'll stop this video here, and thank you for listening.